Joining me now, Ben Domenech, publisher at The Federalist, senior fellow at the Heartland Institute. All right, Ben, what do you think Republicans should do?
Well, before I say that, Chris, I just have to congratulate you because you totally predicted this. The last time I was on with you, you brought up the fact that in 2006, after that election, George W. Bush went out and ignored public opinion and doubled down on the Iraq War. That's the exact same thing that's happening right now at the White House. If you think about it, on immigration, on executive power, on drones, on surveillance, on gay marriage, this is like Barack Obama rolling up his sleeve and showing off a "what would Dick Cheney do" bracelet on his hand. And when it comes to what Republicans should do, I think it's really interesting what Ted Cruz wrote, because I think he's basically giving permission to the establishment and to the leadership to sort of say, hey, you wanted to lead on this stuff, now you can do it, because those are the people within the party who are closest to the blast radius on this because of their push in the past for a comprehensive attempt on this issue. That's dead in the water. That is finished. It's done. And I think that Republicans really ultimately what they're going to end up doing is having internal beltway-focused fights with Senate Democrats and with Democrats in the House, where they basically try to extract as much pain as possible on a number of issues, both on immigration stuff, on funding, but also on like committee assignments and on staffing levels and things like that. They're just going to pull off a bunch of dick moves to Democrats to basically make them feel pain if they can't make President Obama feel pain over the way that he's approached this issue.
I actually think that is 100% accurate. I think basically, I think there's no appetite in the leadership, at least for a shutdown, because Republicans believe they will be blamed for the shutdown. Although I got to say, from the perspective of advice, I thought Eric Erickson saying to him, hey guys, you got blamed for it, your approval rating sank. A year later, no one remembered. True. You did well. Like, go to it. Go stick it to him. And I got to say, like, I don't think that's the right thing substantively. But as sheer political advice, I think actually that the establishment probably is more worried about the reputational damage of a shutdown than they should be given recent precedent. But I think you and I agree they really do care. And I think you're totally right. There's going to be a kind of microaggression, kind of tit for tat. But I also think at the same time, they won't come back in January and pass a rider to a funding bill that makes it impossible to implement this.
I think they will do something along those lines. But if you think about the people who benefit from this within the Republican Party, it's the Bob Goodlatts of the world. It's all the people who've been saying all along they just wanted to do a border bill. They just wanted to do a security-focused bill because that's what the polling of their own base says that they ought to do. They didn't want to have to tiptoe around amnesty and stuff like that. This kills that as an issue. And frankly, I think it's going to have an amazing effect in terms of how the 2016 battle plays out within the Republican Party because of how much it changes that dynamic of that conversation about immigration.
Yeah, I actually think it's fascinating, and that I think from a political standpoint, we'll talk about the legal ramifications in a second. I think this moment is kind of clarifying for both sides. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of heightening the contradictions, but in a useful way, right? I mean, the coalitions are what they are in terms of what they want to see happen, and I think we're going to have kind of that electric polarizing moment tomorrow night. Ben Domenech, thank you very much.
Good to be with you.
Joining me now is Lorella Fraley, Director of